Hallelujah. Pure hand, clean heart.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Oh, you got that. All right. So of course you see the slide is about we'll be breaking some walls down prayerfully. So you remember the theme obviously is about end time. It's about a plan that the Father already has, and we're a part of the plan. However, there's some walls that still needs to probably be broken down for us to better keep going. All right. So there's a lot of let's say new people that got questions and why use these books and that book, right? So I want to open up with some of those things as we progress and as to why we're using certain books. Okay. All right. So seeing the harmony of the scriptures with other writings. Okay. So we're still basing things off of looking at the end time from BCE time period to the 3rd century CE. Everyone know what I mean when I say BCE and CE? Right, before the common era. Most people say before Christ, AD, after his death, right? All right. So of course we got some rules that I'd like for us to look at before we get started. Sometimes we just need to be reminded these rules sometimes. All right, so please keep your mic muted except when asking and answering a question. Use the mic to speak when it's that time. There is a feature in the room where you can raise your hand if you have a question. All questions must be on the topic. You have 60 seconds to ask or answer a question. If you pass your 60-second window, your mic will be muted for you. These rules are due to time and the recordings of the lesson. These are live teachings, so we must give the Moreh enough time to complete the lesson. All right, a little bit of history first. So the scripture is a timeline. The top, I'm getting it from the oldest to where we are now, if everyone understands what I'm saying. In other words, there are some things that are older. Let's say the silver scroll that has the Bamidbar, or the prayer, the Aaronic prayer on it. And that's roughly about the 6th century BCE, right? So, but these I'm using because these are the ones that have our Tanakh in it, right? So I'm only starting with these basics here. All right, so this Septuagint on a common called the LXX, it's 3rd century BCE, right? It's like the oldest, but this is the Greek version of the Torah, and going into the Tanakh goes to about the 4th century CE, all right? Dead Sea Scrolls is next. It's about 150 BCE to about 70 CE. Again, these are older texts, and you're going to see why this is important in just a minute. And so these are considered the oldest of the Tanakh. Then from there, we jump down to the Aramaic Targums. I want to share that real briefly between the 1st century to the 5th century CE. I put on here Yemenite use these because during this time, a lot of the Yemenites saw the Targums as scripture alongside the Tanakh this time, all right? The Samaritan Pentateuch is 1st century to the 2nd century CE. There's just the first 5 books, okay? And then you have the Peshitta, or the Peshitta, which is 2nd century CE. All right, so has anyone ever heard of these scriptures, right? Everyone's familiar with these, I hope. If not, I know the ones that you are familiar with. We're gonna get to those in just a minute, all right? So keep that in mind. The LXX, or the Septuagint version of some books, such as Daniel and Esther, and are longer than those in the Masoretic text. The Masoretic texts are the ones that is traditionally in our King James, ESV, of some version of that, RSV, all the other NIV, all that stuff, right? So these books are not in the current Masoretic text that we're using. The canon that we're using today we make that our main authority sometimes today and don't want to deal with any other book other than just what's in the canon, right? So anyway, the Septuagint book of Jeremiah is shorter than the Masoretic text. The Psalm of Solomon, 3 Maccabees, 4 Maccabees, the Epistle of Jeremiah, the book of Odes, the prayer of Manasseh, and Psalms 151. These are just some of what I want to talk about, are included in some of the copies of the Septuagint, meaning these are in the old version, the old canon, if you will. Okay, not in the canon that we have today. So when you read from some of these books, sometimes people may get I'm not going to say upset, but maybe it's not important. It wasn't a part of that canon, and we'll see why in a minute. All right, so in this slide, does anyone have any questions concerning this? Now, mind you, the Dead Sea Scrolls has a lot more, right? But for right now, I'm just making this real simple. All right, so we look at the Brit Hadashah, commonly called the New Testament, between the 1st to the 4th century CE. A collection of the Apocrypha writings is between 200 BCE to 400 CE, right? 200 BCE to 400 CE. Yes. So I said, take note of these dates. This is going to be very important. Why? Because the very next part in the middle, the Masoretic text, that King James, NIV, and everything, notice their dating. 7th to the 10th century CE, or commonly called AD, right? But the ones that we have are the Leningrad, which is technically the 10th century, right? The Leningrad. So the Appler Codex is 920 CE, Leningrad Codex is 108 CE. All right. Lastly, I put on here Jubilee, Enoch, Testaments of Patriarchs, Apocrypha, predates the Masoretic text. All right. So meaning that there is a line, there's a gap between the time of, let's say, Septuagint into the Dead Sea Scrolls. Then from there's a huge 1,000-year gap almost before you get to the Masoretic text that we're using today. And we're making that the standard, and we don't want to hear about any other books. Some don't want to hear about any other books. All right, so I put there's other texts as well, but this is not less on the breakdown of all the books. All right, so how are we doing so far? All right. Hakol Beseder. All right, so time of your scripture writings, I put, what's the point of knowing the brief history of the scriptures and the writings? We are walking out a timeline that requires us to know how our forefathers and believers were thinking before Mashiach came into the flesh, and the transition and understanding of their belief of end-time prophecies. Books were used by Mashiach and the Talmudim, commonly called the disciples, that some may not be aware of, that's not in the canon. Now, how do you know that? Because the Masoretic text wasn't even on the scene yet. It's not saying that, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, none of them were there. What I'm saying is the specific canon of the Masoretic text that we're using today was not on the scene at this time, all right? And you'll see I started to put some in the slide, but it'll make it a lot longer. I was going to share with you some differences. For an example, that the Septuagint and the Brit Hadashah, or the Septuagint and New Testament, they're quoting, the New Testament is quoting from the Septuagint a lot. You'll see they overlap quite a bit. It's not lining up in some of those places with the Masoretic text, which has become a problem. You can see that, like I said, the book of Hebrews and some other places, but we'll keep going. All right, so we do not know that we do know that the Tanakh used today is not the exact same copy used during the 1st through the 7th century CE. However, we do see writings that were in circulation before the Masoretic text. So the most, and I put most of the Tanakh today are from these Leningrad and Epilog Codex, so don't worry about that. Was translated. They did not believe, meaning the Masoretic text, that Yahushua was the Mashiach. Also, there were words and passages removed and replaced in their version. So when you get to the Masoretic text, they remove some places about the Father's name. They replace it with Adonai. There's a lot of stuff that happened in the text that we have today. All right. So again, this is going to be important to know, because we're saying, I wonder, there's a fall off after, let's say, the time of Mashiach. What writings did they use? And if you look at a lot of the Apocrypha writings, you start hearing quotes of the Brit Kadashah in it sometimes, of let's say Dead Sea Scrolls, of other writings such as Jubilees and things like that. You'll see that they mirror a lot, okay? But you won't see that in the Masoretic text. All right, so I hope this is okay for those that are understanding or trying to understand why we use other books, knowing that we're trying to fill in the gaps as we keep marching through to the end time prophecies, okay? All right. All right, so 1 Enoch, 16:1. And I do have these things color-coded to a degree to help out with those that are going to go back to the video and figure out why we're using these particular passages. All right, so 1 Enoch 16:1 says, from the days of their slaughter and destruction and the death of the giants and the spiritual beings of the spirit and the flesh from which they have proceeded forth, which will corrupt without incurring judgment. They will corrupt until the day of the great conclusion, until the great age is consummated, until everything is concluded upon the watchers and the wicked ones. So there is still a time that remains for those that have done bad and wickedly, and that means spiritual beings, natural beings, if you will. There's a time that is awaited for them. Okay, 1 Enoch 27 verse 2 says, then Uriel, one of the Kodesh Melachims, or set apart messengers, commonly called angels, who have with me answered me and said to me, this accursed valley is for those accursed forever. Here will gather together all those accursed ones, those who speak with their mouth unbecoming. All right, so there's a valley that's going to be set up for judgment. Like, for an example, the valley of, okay, that Har-Megiddo is the mountain. The valley of, right. All right, so the valley of Yehoshaphat, the valley of judgment. Everyone knows anything about these valleys? Okay. All right. Okay, I thought this was a fast review. Okay. Okay, so maybe we'll get into the places later. We'll get into the places of where things are going to be happening. All right. So keep that in mind.
You wait for somebody online?
No, I went for as somebody. I thought I had some help. I know there's some studiers out there, but they just want to keep their mic muted because I got you. No problem. Don't worry about it. All right. 2 Enoch 65 verse 6 says, and when the whole creation, listen, visible and invisible. So when the whole creation, there's a creation that's visible and there's a creation that is invisible. All right, great. Which Yahuah has created shall come to an end. Then each person will go to Yahuah's great judgment. Okay, and I put in there both beings and the creations will be judged, meaning there are spiritual beings that's going to be judged and the ones that are natural. All right. Verse 7, he said, and then all time will perish, and afterward there will be neither year, nor months, nor days, nor hours. There will be, what's this mean right here? Dissipated. Dissolve. Okay, great. And after that, they will not be reckoned, but they will constitute a single age, and all the righteous who escape from Yahuah's great judgment will be collected together into the great age. And the great age will come about for the righteous, and it will be eternal. And after that, there will be among them neither weariness, nor sickness, nor affliction, nor worry, nor debilitation, nor night, nor darkness. Okay, so there come a time there's going to be no more pain and suffering, and all that's going to be gone. Okay, there's a time for this. All right, ready for the color code. 65 verse 10 says, but they will have a great light, a great destructible light. Oh, indestructible. Okay.
I'm reading with you.
Okay. Indestructible light. And paradise great and incorruptible, for everything corruptible will be passed away, and the incorruptible will come into being and will be the shelter of the eternal residence. Now, just those first three colors, what comes to mind for you?
Jerusalem coming down.
Okay. You know what's interesting? You're each actually happen to have a mic next to him. He's just looking at you. This is strange. He's like, oh yeah, I don't care. Talk, baby.
Incorruptible mean that those things that was not of him, that was out of whack, demons and everything, it's just going to be incorruptible. It going away. Am I right?
Okay, well, we're gonna see in just a minute. Okay, anyone else say anything? Uh-huh. All right. So keep in mind the highlights so far: indestructible light, the great light, paradise, incorruptible, incorruptible. All right. 54:21 says, "For at the end of the world, a retribution will be demanded with regards to those who have done wickedly in accordance with their wickedness. And you will esteem the faithful ones in accordance with their faith." Okay, so that must mean your faith must be very important. Must be. Okay, and then for those who are among your own, among who? Okay. Your rule, and those who sin you blot out among your own. Remember I talked about judgment starting in his own house, among his own. If you don't want to be blotted out, you better change your attitude. Okay, he's going to start in his own house. You may think you have time, but we looking at time, you may not know when that is, right? So we got to start cleaning ourselves up. All right, now keep the color codes, keep that in mind.
Moreh, I have a question in reference to Second Enoch 65:10, the great incorruptible, and in the blue. Is that pertaining to the rapture?
Well, as soon as we get to the other passages, you're going to see what I mean by what this means. Actually, no worries, I got you covered.
Toda.
All right. So 2 Baruch 7:4 says, "And it will happen in those days that the reapers will not become tired." Okay. "And the farmers will not wear themselves out, because the products of themselves will shoot out speedily during the time that they, them in full tranquility." What comes to mind? Who are these reapers? So they're what? You even got the mic. That's what makes it really strange. Okay, say it again.
Malachim.
Okay, Malachims are the reapers, right? So we read that. And Matthews and Lamadyahu 13:30 and 39 says, "Let both grow together unto the harvest. And in the time of the harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather you together the first, the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn." Okay, 39 says, "The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the Malachim, or the messengers, commonly called the angels." Okay, so again, there's a harvest coming, and parables are being used, farming, agriculture, fruit, seeds, and things like that, to let you get a better understanding of how it works in the end time. Okay, so just keep that in mind. All right.
Moreh.
Ken.
So all this that's happening, you had said something about the valley. I really didn't hear the question, but is this what's going to happen in Megiddo? What are they, Armageddon? Is all this that?
No. What I was asking basically was the valley. What was the valley of judgment?
Oh, okay. But is this going to happen in Megiddo? All this right here that you're talking about now?
Well, this is going to be a mixture. Remember, there's a couple of parts. There's still Har Megiddo. There's still Gog and Magog war. There's still a couple of more wars. So all of it's not in the same time period.
Ah, okay.
Okay, 2 Baruch 74:2 says, for that time is the end of that which is corruptible and the beginning of that which is incorruptible. So remember you read in the previous slide, now you read it again. And I said, again, we're going to see another place. Therefore, the things which were said before will happen in it. Therefore, it is far away from the evil things and near to those which do not die. Those are the last bright waters which have come after the last dark waters. Bright waters, dark waters, sons of light, sons of darkness. We'll see how all this stuff works out. Okay. So I asked the question, what does these passages remind you of? So you remember the colors. The light, remember that indestructible light, that great light? Revelations 21:23 says, and the city had no need of the sun, neither the moon to shine in it. For the esteem of Yahuah, or Elohim, did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. 22:5. And there shall be no light there. Oh, no night. Okay. And they need no candle, neither light of the sun, for Adonai Eloah gives them light, and they shall reign forever and ever. So you see that this indestructible light can only be who? Yahuah. And his son, the Lamb, is going to have the light. And if you think about the son's light, the only reason why we're going to have light is because of where the light comes from, right? So we're going to be bright too, if you will. We're going to, so when someone asks, how are we going to look? Right. And we gave that story months ago about how Moses was at the top of the mountain and he shunned, or he glowed, if you will, when he was in his presence. Could you imagine all of us in his presence? Then we gave a picture of the rainbow and all the stones. And could you imagine that light bouncing off these gems, and this place is just going to be illuminated. There's no need for any sun, moon, or stars. Okay. All right. None. Revelations 2:7 says, he that hath an ear, let him hear what the spirit of the Ruach says unto the assembly. To him that overcome will I give to eat of the tree of life, okay, which is in the midst of the paradise of the Lord. So the tree of life is where? Is in paradise, right? It's in the garden. Okay, so the word paradise is the Greek version of the word for Gan Eden, which is the Garden of Eden, right? So this is just let you know that where this is now. To get to paradise, what do you need to do?
Keep the commandments.
Keep the commandments, right? Revelations 22:14, right?
And the faith in his son, Yahushua.
Okay, Revelations 14:12, right? So everyone sees that there is something that you have to do. But we got to do this with a clean heart, an open heart. We can't be holding stuff and think that you're going to squeeze into that crack of that door. It's not going to happen. All right. 1 Corinthians 15:52 says, this is what I wanted Amana to see here, is in a moment and twinkling of an eye, and at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. And if you keep reading, continue to verse 54, we're going to take off corruption, put on incorruption. Okay, there's a time for this. Okay, but we're going to see when this time is as we keep going through these slides. All right, the purple. Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. This is faith, right? So you see, faith is not what is hoped for. Faith, according to Hebrew, is not the thing which is not seen. It is not invisible. It is certainly not blind. Okay. All right. It's not something that I am trying to get. Faith is the substance and the evidence. You walk your faith out. We can see it. And when you don't do things, we can technically see that as well, right? But you can't judge me. But then you read there's a righteous judgment. So that's, and the good thing behind don't judge me is you're right. Be like, listen, I'm not the one judging you. I'm sharing what the word says. Word says this. Do you align? Do you match what this says? No, then the one that's judging you is his word, as Mashiach says in John 12, right? He says, my words are judging in the last days.
Be patient with me. He's not through with me yet.
But don't get there too fast. I thought I had another day. All right. Hebrews 11:6 says, but without faith, it's impossible to please him. For he that comes to the Lord must believe that he is, and he is a rewarder of them that. How do you diligently seek him?
Meditate on his word day and night.
Meditate on his word day and night. What else you said? No one else could hear it online. I know that everybody threw out some
And
words.
follow
and
his
stuff.
all statutes and commandments.
Okay, keep his law, statutes, commandments. Hallelujah.
Study to show yourself approved unto
Prayer,
Elohim.
meditation. Okay, great. So everyone sees that there's a seeking him that he's looking for. And he's not looking for part-time seekers. Right? I seek him when I want to seek him. I seek him when things are going bad. But I give him praise when things are going right. You know, you pick and choose which one you want to do, how you want to do it, when you want to do it. That's not going to work for the Father. Okay? Especially when you're already made to be a praise anyway. All right. Do we then, this is Romans 3:31, do we then make void the law through faith?
Absolutely not.
Elohim forbid. Yea, we establish the law. So when we go over our series in the future, our Christian series, if you will, I want to see just how much we matured in the word. Hopefully, we're going to have some tissues on the table for those that are going to need it because they're going to be upset. Romans 10:17. So then faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of Elohim, or the word of the Lord, right? So again, our faith is grounded in his word. It's grounded in faith. And how you see it is through your evidence and your substance. Okay, is everyone with me so far? All right. So I have faith, as everyone say. You say, I don't have to do that. But the word said, oh no. So we'll find out. Then the last color code we had was talking about that blotting out. So you remember when Moses and Shemot, Exodus 32:33, and Yahuah said unto Moshe, Moses, whosoever has sinned against me. What's sin again? Transgression of the law. 1 John 3:4. All right. Sin is transgression of the law. So whosoever has sinned against me, him will I blot out of my book. Psalms 69:28. Let them be blotted out of the book of the living and not be written with the righteous. Okay. Acts 3:19. Repent you therefore and be converted that your sins may be. Okay. So again, there's something that you have to understand is if sin is transgression of the law, if I don't want to transgress his law, if I did, I need to ask for forgiveness, and then I need to keep going. I need to endure, right? Don't put yourself down, weigh yourself down. Oh, I messed up again, Father. You're not going to, oh, I guess I'm just not going to make it. And then now you go into this depression. Do you think he's going to ever forgive me? He says, what's the only thing he says you're not going to forgive?
Blaspheming of the
Ruach,
Ruach.
right? So then if he's telling you, I'm willing to forgive all your other things, then understand that it doesn't give you the green light to sin, right? Because Hebrews chapter 10, verse 26 or 25 says what? If you sin willfully, expect judgment, right? Okay. Malachi 3:16. Then they that fear Yahuah spoke often one to another. So those that do what now? Fear him. Who they speak who? One to another. We all be speaking about that Father, that fear and that love that we have of him. Only those one to another, right? It says, and man, I had like 10 jokes. All right. And Yahuah hearkened and heard it, and the book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared Yahuah and that thought upon his name. Okay. Now, Daniel 12:1 and 2. I cut the first portion of 12:1 just to get to the point here. It says, and at that time your people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. All right. So again, there's a book. There's things that be written down. Everything that we do. That now, when I say things that we do, that doesn't mean just physically things that we do. Things that you do in your mind too. I don't like you. I don't see, because he says that word it divides all the way to where? The marrow. What else? Bone to the spirit, so into the thoughts. There you go. His word is judging all of that. Oh yeah, I heard him say, I know the sister said, I love her. In her mind, I can't wait till that witch get out of here. Oh, that brother there, I saw the way he looked at her. I'm gonna get her first. Whatever it is that we're doing. I know we don't do that here, so I'm happy to share things that I know we don't do here, right? I'm so happy to do that. So, and online, none of them do that. Yeah, right. So again, we got to start getting our minds right. Clean it out, huh? You want living water, clean hands. You all right? You don't want that bottle or that tap water. All right, we'll keep going. All right, Dead Sea Scrolls. He says, against all their bands, when the exiled sons of light turn from the desert, the nations camp in the desert of Jerusalem or Jerusalem, and after the war, they shall go up from there of the, what's that word there in Hebrew? Kittim, which is Kittim, right? Kittim, in Mitzrayim, and in his time, he will go out with great rage to wage war against the kings of the north, and his anger wants to exterminate and cut off the horn of Israel or Yisrael, right? Israel. So they want to cut off. So you understand that horn is Israel's representative of a horn and a nation, and there's a king. But anyway, we'll keep going. And this is the time of salvation for the nation of El, okay, and a period of rule for all men of his lot. Who's his lot? Elohim's lot, right? Then he says, and for everlasting destruction for all the lot of Belial, right? There will be great panic among the sons of Japheth. Why would there be panic among Japheth or Japheth people? Why is there panic?
It was dwelling in the tents of Shem.
Okay.
Shouldn't have been.
And you notice where this location
Nation
is.
that wasn't a nation.
Ashur. Where's Assyria and Japheth? They're all in the top parts of Europe, Turkey, all those areas, right? Okay. We still haven't got to Gog and Magog and things like that. Anyway, it shall fall to there will be no help for him. The rule of the Kittim or the Kittim, listen, will come when?
To an end.
To an end. So that must mean, and they're still happening now. Kittim is the remnants, it's Rome, right? But it's remnants of Rome throughout even today, right? We'll see that later on. Wickedness having been defeated with no remnant remaining, and there will be no escape for any of the sons of darkness, okay? At the end, when it's all said and done, we all worry, but why he could have just restarted it over and over again? Why is y'all letting this go? Is there a reason for it? Okay, so we'll see. All right, so we have the sons of righteousness shall shine to all ends of the world, continuing to shine forth unto the ends of the appointed season of darkness. Then at the time appointed by El, his great excellence shall shine for all times of eternity. For peace and the blessings, esteem and joy, and long life for all sons of light. On the day when the Kittim fall, there shall be a battle and horrible carnage before the El of Israel. For it is a day appointed by him from ancient times as a battle of annihilation for the sons of darkness. On that day, the congregation of Elohim and the congregation of men shall engage one another, resulting in a great carnage. There's a battle that's going to take place. So all of us weak-minded, I mean, we can't be weak-minded now. When it's time for, now, I'm not saying right now you go to battle with each other. You know, I saw my coworker, I saw this person, whatever it is, and we're ready to cut them up now. This is not the time. You'll have a prison ministry for sure. Okay, this is not the time. So, but understand when this courage is going to come for them, like, I don't know, but I'm queasy at the blood, right? Listen, when this day comes, this is a day when you have your L next to you, the host of heaven next to you. You better have a strong heart then. If not, you go make the unleavened bread. Right. You go back home, make the unleavened bread, and make sure the farm is right. But everybody else, we're all going to war. I want us to understand that he's raising warriors, right? But the first war starts where? Inside of you. You're warring against your own self. So how can you war against yourself? And then when you war against yourself, you war against others of the same belief. And then sometimes, which seems to be strange, sometimes you war with yourself, you war with your brethren, but you're at peace with those not in the walk. How do you do that? Because the war that's in you is the same kingdom that is the person that's not in it. You're having that familiarity, if you will, with that person.
Get along with the kingdom of darkness.
Okay, anyone see how that works? We're trying to figure out how does this work? So again, if you can overcome the battles within yourself and to be able to do that with others, then you're ready to be used. Until then, you're still fighting, technically yourself, but ultimately you're still fighting and how you want the Father to use you if you can't overcome the thing that's happening within yourself. All right. So I know we're ready to go to the next slide because that was just way too much. All right. All right, so apocalyptic writings of the book Testament. This is basically a Targum, right? Remember Genesis 3:15, and this is going to come back in the end of the slide. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your children and her children. And it will come about when her children keep the Torah and do the commandments. They will aim at you in smite, you on your head and kill you. But when they abandon the commandments of the Torah, the law, you will be aimed at him and will bite him on the heel and will make him deadly ill. But there will be no healing for his son. But for you, O serpent, there will not be healing, for they will make appeasement at the last in the day of the King Mashiach or Messiah. All right, so again, if you think about this in Genesis 3, they're talking about the seed of the woman and the serpent, right? Everyone remembers this. All right, so what winds up happening is what? If you're keeping the commandments and the law, you're of the seed of the woman, if you will. If you don't, then you're of the seed of the serpent. It's that easy, right? So you know that there's always going to be a war between these two seeds. Now, you can, of course, we know about in the Torah, we talk about mixed seeds, how that's not good, right? So when we're doing good and we're walking out the law, statutes, and commandments, we're saying, hey, we're Father, your seed is in me, the seed is the word of Elohim, X, Y, and Z. And there are going to be days where this other tear or this weed is going to try to come up within you. Okay, that's another seed. Either you're going to pluck that thing out or you're going to allow that thing to grow in you. And then next you know, they're going to grow together. And then there's going to be a separating, wheat from the tare. Is everyone with me so far? All right. Baruch 40 verse 1 says, the last ruler who is left alive at that time will be bound, whereas the entire host will be destroyed. And they will carry him on Mount Zion, and my appointed one will convict him of all his wicked deeds and will assemble and set before him all the works of his host. So Yahuah of hosts, notice the enemy has a host. They both have hosts, but one's going to be judged, the wicked host, right? 40 verse 2 says, and after these things, he will kill him and protect the rest of my people who will be found in the place that I have chosen. What place did he choose? What place did he choose?
Jerusalem.
Oh, wait, let me ask you guys, do you guys know where you're going?
Mount Zion.
Okay. Zion is the mountain. That's his mountain, Mount Zion, right? It's in a land. No, not America. No, not Brazil, right? Or Philippines. Or okay. So my point is that there's a place that he has set for his people, but you can't go over to Zion right now. Okay. Things you might not like what you see. Okay. I'll just keep it like that. All right. It's very strange. I'm not talking to riddles, am I?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
All right. All right. We just made ourselves ready. All right. Verse 3. And his dominion
Still getting dressed.
will last forever until the world of corruption has ended and until the times which has been mentioned before has been fulfilled. No, Mashiach says it until all things are fulfilled, not one jot, not one tittle, right? All right, so you got to understand there's still things that still needs to happen. So until everything is fulfilled, you still going to keep those laws, statutes, and commandments. Okay? All right. We'll keep going. 2 Baruch 32, verse 1 says, listen to it very carefully. 1 and 2 is very important. You, however, if you prepare your minds to sow into them the fruit of the law. What do you have to do now?
Sow into your mind.
You got to sow, put that seed in your mind and in your heart. He shall protect you in the time in which the mighty one shall shake the entire creation. So if you do it now, while you still got a chance, because if not, remember Yahuah or Jeremiah chapter 51, where it talks about when all this comes to mind, let Jerusalem, when all this happened, let Jerusalem come to your mind. That must mean you wasn't ready. You didn't have your oil in your lamp. You kind of got lackadaisical. Things happen. All right. Verse 2. For after a short time, the building of Zion will be shaken in order that it will be rebuilt. Okay, it needs to be rebuilt. That rebuilding will not remain, but it will again be uprooted after some time and will remain desolate for a time, like now. And after that, it is necessary that it will be renewed in esteem and that it will be perfected into eternity. We should not therefore be so sad regarding the evil which has come now, but much more distressed regarding that which is in the future. For greater than the two evils will be the trial when the mighty one will renew his creation. And now, do not draw near to me for some days, and do not call upon me until I have come to you. This is talking about Baruch. It's not talking about, yes, don't call on me. This is the prophet. Okay? All right. 29 verse 2 says, for at that time, when you hear at that time or that day, that's the appointed time. Is everyone with me? All right. I shall only protect those found in this land at that time. What land? Oh, America. Oh, so Jerusalem, or technically this is Israel, because remember we read in Isaiah 65 verse 9 and Zephaniah 2 and Yirmiyahu, all those places talks about a place that he made a safe haven for his people in the land. All right. So I want you to keep that in mind for at that time, because people are like, oh, this destruction is going to happen over there. Are you sure we're supposed to be over there? And he says, at that time, I will only protect those found in this land at that time. You're protected. What are you worried about? Okay. All right. Well, yeah. If you're not living right, I'll be looking over the back of my head too. Every thunder and lightning, boom, is he here? Oh, did you hear that? When I'm lightning and bolts come out, everybody crying in the house. Woo, man, it thing came quickly. Yeah, it's gonna be a time like that. All right. It said, it will happen that when all that which should come to pass in these parts has been accomplished, the anointed one will begin to be revealed. He's going to begin to be revealed. Then he says, and the behemoth will reveal itself from its place, and Leviathan will come from the sea, the two great monsters, which I created on the 5th day of creation, and which I shall have kept until that time, and they will be nourishment for all who are left. These beasts are going to be nourishment. I can't wait to get, I'm hungry. Okay, for those that have made themselves ready, it's going to be a problem. And these created beings are made for a specific purpose, right? So we're not going to go through a lot of it. I am going to talk about Leviathan and the dragon, or Tanim, if you will, in just a minute, but not in depth, only because it'll be a long study. All right. Verse 5, the earth will also yield fruit 10,000-fold, and on one vine will be 1,000 branches, and one branch will produce 1,000 clusters, and the one cluster will produce 1,000 grapes, and one grape will produce a core of what? That's why we have it. That's why we drink that wine. You see it, don't you? I didn't write that. You got to talk to the prophet. He told us to get that wine out. That's why we, yeah. Yeah. Yes, that's why we drink wine, huh? So we can remember this day. As a memorial, please, as a memorial. Yeah. Oh, $50. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We might make one, call it Cone Eliyahu. No, don't do that. All right. We'll keep going. All right. 31. Listen to what it says. And it will happen after these things, when the time of the appearance of the anointed one has been fulfilled, and he returns with what? Esteem, that then all who sleep in hope of him will rise. Okay, so keep that in mind. When he returned with his esteem. Remember, he's coming back. You read this in Thessalonians, you read this in the places, right? All right, so now we're getting into things that everyone's asking questions about. Verse 2, and it will happen at that time that those treasures will be opened, in which the number of the souls of the righteous were kept, and they will go out, and the multitude of the souls will appear together in one assemblage of one mind. And the first ones will enjoy themselves, and the last ones will not be sad. Listen, for they know that the time has come, of which it is said that it is the end of times. So a lot of us is looking for exact dates, exact times. Listen, that is not for us to know. Remember, even the disciples want to know, when you're going to restore Israel. He says, it's not for you to know at this time. So some things you're going to always be wondering and asking for questions and looking and seeking, but he's wanting you to concentrate on yourself. He said, you concentrate on the wrong thing. Sometimes we concentrate on what we want to look for, and yet we haven't even made ourselves ready. Okay. So what is it to know all of that, and then you didn't make yourself ready, and then you didn't make it? What happened? Right? So anyway. Oh yeah, on the other side. But the souls of the wicked will the more waste away when they shall see all these things, for they know that their torment has come, and that their perditions have arrived. Okay. Now, mind you, remember the demons were saying what? Did you not come after to the Mashiach? Remember, he was coming to cast out the demon. Is he? Yeah, right. You come and do it before my time. They know there's a time coming. Okay. All right. Parallels of Leviathan. Isaiah Yeshayahu 27:1 says, in that day, Yahuah will, with his sword, great and strong sword, shall punish Leviathan, the piercing serpent, or Nakash. Okay, the piercing Nakash, even Leviathan, that crooked serpent, and he shall slay Hatanim, which is the dragon that is in the sea. There's going to be this huge war. Okay. Now my job is not to go ahead and describe this. So I'm just giving you a parallel of what you to think about what their purpose is going to be, meaning Leviathan and things like that. Not so much what Yah and Leviathan, this big war is going to be about. All right. Definition. The name Leviathan appears 6 times in the scriptures only in a poetic passage. You see, we're going to go through some of these. Job 3:8, 40:25, in English is 41 verse 1. Psalm 74:14, 104:26, Isaiah 27:1, which we just read. Okay, but pay attention to the definition. Twist, coil, that means sinuous ones, designating a kind of serpent. Okay, so you're going to see that this Leviathan is going to be one that's going to be bringing about a lot of sinuous things within you. Okay, which you'll see later on. All right, Ugaritic. And the Ugaritic says, when you smote Leviathan, the slippery serpent made in the end of the crooked serpent, the tyrant with 7 heads. So I was going to go over the 7 heads, but I said, no, we'll wait. Okay. So Enoch, 1 Enoch 60 verse 7 says, on that day, 2 monsters will be parted. One monster, female, named Leviathan, in order to dwell in the abyss of the sea, of the abyss of the ocean, over the fountains of water. And the other, a male called, what's the name of it? Hatanin. Hatanin, good. Which behold his chest in an invisible desert, whose name is Dundain, east of the Gan of Eden, or the Garden of Eden, Gan Eden, wherewith the elect and the righteous ones dwell, where when my grandfather was taken, the 7th from Adam, the first man whom Yahuah of the spirits created. Then I asked the second Malach, or messenger, in order that he may show me how strong these monsters are, how they were separated on this day and were cast, the one into the abyss, the abysses of the ocean, and the other into the dry desert. And I didn't want to go through more anymore because we'll start getting into what to look for, okay, within the beast. I'm just going to keep this just within parallels. So 74:12 says, for Elohim, in my king of old, working salvation in the midst of the earth. You did divide the sea by your strength. You break the heads of Hatananim in the waters. You crushed the head of Leviathan in pieces and gave him to be meat to the people inhabiting the wilderness. What does that mean? Okay, we'll see it in a minute. You did cleave the fountain and the flood. You dried up mighty rivers. The day is yours. The day is yours. The night also is yours. You have prepared the light and the sun. You have set all the borders of the earth. You have made summer and winter, and spring and fall. Oh, I didn't see those. Okay, my bad. All right. So my point here so far is you're going to see that he's going to crush Leviathan's head, right, in pieces. And he gave meat for the people, the inhabitants of the wilderness. And there's something about the wilderness. I'm not going to talk about it in this slide here, but have you noticed that all the patriarchs, all of Israel, all had to go in the wilderness? What's the point of going into the wilderness?
To test and prove us.
Test and prove? Okay.
And to rely only on the Most High, to lean not only on ourselves, but only on him, on his word that proceeds out of his mouth, and not on our own understanding.
Okay. So there's a thing where it's going to happen in the wilderness that either going to be able to make it with his word, with your faith, with challenges. Either you're going to make it or Leviathan has you, in layman's terms for right now. Okay. He's set up to say, okay, what's the problem? Oh, you don't like the way your Elohim's treating you? Hey, I got you. I can take care of you, right? What you need, I can give you all the wealth of the world. I can give you this. Can we just make a covenant though? I just need a little covenant with you. Oh no? Well, okay, well, let's see. Let's see what happens. We're going to read it in the next slide. So Psalms 104 says, "Oh Yahuwah, how manifold are your works, and wisdom have you made them all. The earth is full of your riches. So is this great and wide sea, wherein the things creeping innumerable, both small and great beasts. There go the ship. There is that Leviathan, whom you have made to play therein." Why would you do that, Father? Why would you allow Leviathan a little playtime? Why is he doing that? Okay, we'll see in a minute, right? So of course, we look up the word ship. This is the word you get for ship, but it also means morning and to be opportune, to meet. He's giving them that, hey, I'm gonna give you that time to go play with them. Okay, I didn't know the Father will allow him to go play. I didn't see that in Scripture. I didn't know he allowed the serpent to go play. And who is he playing with? Okay,
He's
keep
playing
in
with
mind
the-
that, because he's gonna be playing with you, and he may win sometimes, and he may lose. He's in the back; he can't see.
Well, I think I'm loud enough.
No,
I guess that's where the free will comes into play.
right. So he's wanting you to exercise free will. He wants you to show Leviathan who you choose. Go play, and you're going to see that my people will still follow me through all the stuff that they go through. So, but keep in mind,
Would this also be a time of testing?
yeah, time of testing, definitely. All right, look at Job says here. Can you put a hook into his nose? This is Leviathan. Can you put that in his nose or bore his jaw through with a thorn? Will he make many supplications unto you? Will he speak soft words unto you? He sure will. If you allow him to him, he sure will. Now listen, will he make covenant with you? Will you take him for a servant forever? Will you play with him as with a bird, or will you bind him for your maidens? Shall the companions make a banquet of him? Shall they part him among the merchants? So there are a bunch of questions here. The answer, you guys should already know them. So I'm just really want you to see, though, a couple of things. One is he's playing with them and he got this hook in his mouth. He's only going to allow him to go but so far, right? You can play if you like, because I want you to see that my creation is going to love me, right? But that hook is going to snap. Oh, he's trying to kill me. No, you're not. Okay? You call on him, you'll survive. But the other part, what you see is you can make agreements with this thing. Okay? If you choose to make agreements, you can make an agreement with this thing. All right? Okay, he says, will you play with him with bird? Will you play with him? Just until I get my wealth, and then I'm gonna jump out. Right? All I want is all that money. Yeah, I know y'all can give it to me, but it seems like he may be able to give it to us free of charge, very fast, and with no wisdom and no understanding. Right? All I need is a sacrifice. You just give me a little sacrifice, I'm gonna get you whatever you need. A soul for a soul. Yeah, a soul for a soul. All right. So, definition of terms here. So, in this, I said, is this being a plaything? Yahuah put a rope in his nose. Why? Because we talked about that just now. So, the simple stem of the word for play is sachek. Okay, sachek. This is the word for play. Conveys the idea of laughter. The stronger peel stem connotes positively play, a sport, or negatively mockery. And what's this? Derision, which is ridicule. So he's playing with that serpent Leviathan to let him know, I'm going to show you my creation can be overcomers. So there's a purpose behind everything that the Father does. We're trying to figure out why he allowing certain things to happen. Clean all creation, start over. You might not be here if you'd done that a long time ago. So you got to understand that there's a reason for everything that he does. Okay? So anyway, we'll keep going. Could this mean Yahuah is allowing Leviathan to allow it to play out and in the last day, pull it in? He's going to pull him in at the last day, right? Showing that Leviathan, we will not fall for his covenant and et cetera and things like that. Okay? He needs to see something because he's like, let me go out there. I'll show you what I can do. Oh, yeah. Mhm. His final judgment is in that day. He has a specific time already allotted to him. So he's trying to get as many on his side as he can, right? And that little bit can get you. You could have done, like, remember, Moses did really well, very humble. He did really well. But them people, his own brother and sister, man, got you to do what? Miss the promised land? Man, please. There's no way. There's no way. Right? So again, but
Speak to the rock.
mhm.
How many times we gotta do this?
Yeah, he got loose, didn't he? Yeah, his anger, his excitement got the best of him. And he said, oh my gosh, look at this rock. He said, just for what you have done, you would not, but please, Father. Remember, he kept pleading. He really wanted to still go in that land. He said, no. He said, I'll tell you what, let me show you where they're going. Man, I mean, that's painful. Right there. That's it. Yep. You're not going there, though. But at least you saw where they're going.
That's a picture of the wicked.
Mhm.
They're gonna see
Mhm.
Yahuah's kingdom.
Mhm.
They're gonna see Yahuah's kingdom,
Mhm.
but they're not gonna be able to come in weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Yeah, they're going to see. So is there a parallel of the serpent in Gan Eden, or the Garden of Eden? And I said, will there be enmity between these two seeds? Everyone knows the answer is yes, right? And the one that speaks most of outside of, let's say, the book of Enoch about Leviathan is what book? Job. Job speaks a lot about Leviathan, right? All right, keep that in mind. The word for enmity is the word what? Aba or Ava, if you want to use the common. This is the word for Job. They both share the same word. Okay? The basic meaning for the verb is to be hostile to be or treated as an enemy. And I put, why does Iob or Job's name share the definition of enmity or hatred or hostile? Okay? And in both of them, you're reading about Leviathan and having enmity and hatred. Both of them go together. But anyway, so I just put serpent, enmity, covenant are in both places. Okay? All right, so the garden picture here, we're gonna look at this really fast. You crushed the head of Leviathan, right? We read that in Psalm 74:14. You crushed the head of Leviathan, you gave him as food for the creatures of the wilderness. Now, look at Genesis 3:15, as we familiar with, and I put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. It shall crush your head, and you shall bruise his heel. Notice the crushing of the head of this serpent and the crushing of the head of Leviathan. Why we got this parallel going? Okay, look at the next one. In Psalm 72:80 says, he shall have dominion also from sea to sea, and from the river unto the ends of the earth. Then it says, they that dwell in the wilderness shall bow before him, and his enemies shall lick the dust. Remember 14, what's going to happen to the serpent? And Yahuah Elohim said unto the serpent, because you have done this, you are cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon your belly shall you go, and dust shall you eat all the days of your life. What's the connection? That's why I say you really would have to talk about even all the beasts of the field. Then you got these different beasts, Leviathan, Behemoth, dragons. What's up with all these beasts going on? But again, we won't talk about that. We'll just keep going. Any questions?
Sliha Moreh, you were asking in reference to the hostility of Job's name. Could it be while in the story of Job when Shaitan caused enmity towards Job that Yahuah allowed?
Okay, so what was the question?
What was the commonality between Job's name and the word enmity? Because Job suffered a lot of hostility from Shaitan.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I guess that would be commonality.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have a question, Moreh. You had mentioned a little while ago about Behemoth and Leviathan, one being in the desert, one being in the sea.
Mhm.
Is that any correlation, I think, to Revelations 9:14, where it talks about those four angels, those four fallen angels that were bound up in the river of Euphrates?
No, that's different. Theirs is going to be different from the purpose of them being out there. Those are bound. These are not.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So that-
You make sure he out that camera range. Let me get that cord over here. All right, let me just sit next to this wall. Oh, you turn it on? His blue. Oh, it says on. You push the switch up? There you go. There you go.
So my question is something similar to Abba Yahoo question.
Mhm.
Hopefully it could be different, but
It'll probably be the same.
so, so it's the fifth day beast is part of the Revelation seals.
Say it one more time.
The fifth day beast from the book of Baruch, I would say, the second Baruch. I read out the scripture, Revelation chapter 9, verse 4, and it was commanded that it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of Elohim in their foreheads. So I'm trying to
Right, but those are going to be different. Those are the ones that be sent up. There are righteous beings that are going to go out and be doing some destruction. And then there's going to be wicked beings that are going to be out and doing it. So the one in Revelation is going to be, it's a different tone than what Baruch and Psalms and Genesis is talking about.
So the fifth day beast is not considered. What is the fifth day beast considered? A righteous beast or a wicked
Okay,
beast?
so basically what happened on the fifth day of creation? That's just going to answer your question. Mhm. So if you know what happened on the fifth day, you'll know why he's saying the fifth day. Right, so they'll see the fifth day, every day. I haven't really gotten to the days. Every day, just like when we at some point we're going to get to each day there's a prophecy up until the seventh day of rest. So I haven't really gotten to a bunch of those things yet. That's why I said I'm only giving you guys right now parallels of what things are happening between that and us. I haven't given you what's happening with the beast by itself. Remember, I said that's going to be a different lesson. Okay. Anyone else? All right.
Yeah, so the monsters that are gonna be in the wilderness for food, is that gonna be good for us to eat it? Or is it
No.
a test?
Oh,
It's a
no.
test? Right.
Yeah, you don't want that food.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It was always gonna be a test, like
Oh,
when they went the first time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I don't want this manna. I want to go back where the leeks is and the melons. No, but yeah, no, that's not going to be good nourishment for us. For those, I still haven't really went over the part where you remember there's going to be these gatherings and massive gatherings of the righteous, but there's also a gathering of the remnant. They're not the same gathering time, right? So one's preparing for one and others may be a part of another. Then you got to ask yourself, which one am I a part of? Well, we'll see when we keep going through the series.
Saliha Moreh, I have a question. In
Yeah.
reference, I'm kind of confused. When the Malachims are throwing what looks like a mountain into the ocean, into the land,
Mm-hmm.
is that corresponding to the male and female monsters?
Mm-mm.
Female in the ocean and then the male on the water?
No.
Is that that's totally different, correct?
Right. Yeah, that's different. That's why. Did that unconfuse you?
Yeah, because I was reading and studying, and there is like what it what it looks like the Malachims through to what looks like mountains. One was in the land, on a land, and then one was in the seas.
Right. So for your studies, if you want to go for your studies, understand the parable of what it means throwing a mountain into the sea. What is the representation of a mountain? What is the representation of the sea? Versus, unless you're thinking they're literally going to go, let's say Mount Everest, and cut that off and throw it into the water.
No.
Okay, great. So
No. I think I understand. Okay. Toda.
Okay. Okay. Anyone
Or
else?
is there a name for each war? You said there will be 3 wars leading up to, I guess, leading up to Sukkot, right? Is there a name for each of those 3 wars? If we like did a study on the 3 wars that we could reference?
Okay, so when you say, I'm talking about, there's Armageddon, and then there's a Gog and Magog war. I'm saying that those are 2 separate wars. Those ones you can find those 2. I'm not sure, you said 3?
Oh, Sleek Eye, I thought you had said 3. Okay. So Armageddon, which is Megiddo, and then the Gog and Magog.
Right.
And you said those are 2 different time frames. Can you tell me the time frame of each?
I don't even know the day or the hour. No, I couldn't tell you the time period. The base I can just share with you that the one with the Gog and Magog war, you can read it obviously in Ezekiel chapter 38, and then it's going towards making of a 3rd temple, and then the Armageddon, when everyone comes, that's the last great one. Then that ends that one. If you're asking for like in reference to between the 2, as far as like when, I wouldn't know that.
Okay. So.
But if you pray and ask the Father to send me up to heaven, I'll ask that question like Enoch and see what I can get when I come back down.
You might not be able to talk about it.
Hey, I might just stay there. I'm not going nowhere. Hit my socket. You'll know if I'm limp when I get back.
One of the things I was thinking about is, as many people, many of us, like we don't realize how fast the pace of our lives move. There have been many people who have walked this earth already, and that are sleeping, who are waiting on Mashiach. They were preparing themselves and waiting for him, and now they're sleeping. That could be us too. So that's why the endurance is important, because you might fall asleep, have not received the promise yet. So all I was looking at is saying, wow, this is going to happen. They've been waiting on this. This is ancient. Now think about that. 200, 300 BCE. Older. Let's go to Enoch. We wasn't even a thought. Our parents weren't a thought. Our grandparents weren't a thought. So this goes back. This is ancient. So we're waiting on these things to manifest, but we see the birth pains getting closer and closer. So let's keep that in mind, because we all want to know when it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, when it's going to happen. You might be asleep when it happens. Right? So just be ready.
Yeah, because one of the things that, we, when I was doing the lesson here is that a couple of things. One is, you ever notice how fast, it just seems like we were here yesterday or 2 days ago. Time flies really fast. Before you know it, you're at a weekend or whatever it is, or Shabbat. And you're like, man, that time, where did it go? Then you, on the other hand, we're also curious beings. We want to know things, why he's doing things, when is he going to do it, the what, when, how, where. And some things just belongs to him. Even though we want to know, because we want to, technically we want to prepare ourselves in our minds, we want to prepare ourselves. But the Father's like, that's not what you, that is not your place. Only thing you need to worry about is keep my laws, statutes, and commandments. Everything else I'm going to be doing. Because remember, he says, I will do this, I will do that. And you're like, well, how's he going to do it? I don't know how he's going to do it. for some things, right? So he wants us to, because even when I'm going through the lesson, I'm like, wow, could you imagine this time, Father? When, you know, I'm doing the same thing that all of us have probably been doing. You know, like basically, man, could you imagine this here? Man, I want to be ready for this day. When you got going, he's like, man, keep reading. Oh, okay, let me keep going. Yeah, and then when you get your heart and your mind, and I said, oh, okay, there, I see what you're saying. In other words, get off of my mind and get yourself together. Because at the end of the day, if you made yourself ready, you have nothing. I'm protecting you. I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to do that for you. But we're very curious beings, you know, and so much so we be willing to run to all kinds. You know how many writings are out there about this outside of the scriptures? There are other writings, Arcadians, the Canaanites, Samaritans, Ugaritic. There are other that talks about end time as well from their perspective, nations, if you will. And yes, there's a lot of overlaps, Babylonian cylinders. And if for those that want to know, I'm just simply stating that there's a lot. But I could stay there all day trying to figure this thing out and then lose my soul. Change my way of thinking of who he is, because knowledge starts to puff up and things can change. So he wants us to make sure that we just make sure that our lamps got the oil in it. His spirit, his ruach, leading and guiding us to the truth, fixing the fundamentals that we seem to be lacking. Some of us. Yeah. He says, you guys got some fundamental stuff that you guys haven't fixed yet, but you want to know all this good stuff. And he's like, no. Now, some things he will give you because it's ready for the next level of prophecy, or as it says, the books are open. So some people are going to get this wisdom and they're going to give it at that time, but he's only going to give it by measure and when you're ready. But if you're not ready for it and you're still arguing and bickering with one another and not liking each other and having these little things and oughts and crazy stuff, he's like, you want me to come right now? Because if I come, you're going to miss me. Are you sure you're ready? Oh, no, hold on, Father. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Next thing you know, that minute becomes how long? We're back at the service again. How long? We're back at the next service again. How long? We're back at the next service. When are you going to get it right? Right. So that's what I'm saying. We have to start slow your stuff down. Slow your mind down. Yeah. You can say when atonement comes, I'll talk to him then. Until then, but how do you know you're going to make it to the next atonement is the question. Oh, I'm healthy. Oh, I'm this. Next, here comes something ran you over or some sickness come or something happened to you. And you thought you can do that. And he's trying to tell you when you know you have an ought, stop, go get it right. He's telling you, do it now. Why do you wait? And then lastly, and I'll close is that how can he says, and I want to use you, but I can't because you're still disobeying me. You're still being disobedient. How can I use a disobedient servant? And these are just fundamental things that we're being against one another. Very small stuff. So he can use you if you let things go, things that are not healthy for you, things that is causing you to think unrighteously. You're going to have to let that stuff go. And then he says, now let me give you healing in your heart and in your body. And now let me use you. And you'll be surprised what he can do if you allow him to do it. All right. So I'll stop right there and we'll pick up. Oh, you had somebody? Oh, okay. Right. I got you. Okay. Anyone else? All right. Well, we'll stand and close and then we'll switch out to the Hebrew class. 6:30.
Let us prepare our hearts and our minds before we go before the Father. Baruch atah Yahuah Eloheinu melech haolam. We give all esteem and honor unto you for this day, for this gathering, for this opportunity to be able to make our lives right with you and your word. We thank you for the message which has gone forth here today that you have given through our Moreh. We ask and pray that it ruminate within us, that your seed be planted within our hearts so that we might become the beings of light in which you have called us to be, so that we might be prepared on that great and terrible day to be able to stand before you blameless. We thank you for all and who you are and everything in which you do for each and every one of us. Help us to understand better our true purpose of who we are and where we are within you and your kingdom. Let us help us to be reminded of Ecclesiastes 12:13. For let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear you and keep your commandments, that we might be prepared when you have called us unto that great war. We thank you for the blessings in which you have given us through each and every one of our mores and the messages which they give us continually through you. We ask and pray for all those who are going through some things right now, that you know where they are, that we ask and pray that you send your Malachim to be with them, to comfort them, to let them know that it is you who cause it to rain upon the just and the unjust. And let us be able to stand fast through those times of trouble, because it does not last always. We thank you for the blessings and the opportunity to be able to grow within your word through the good times and the bad. Let us have praise on our lips for all things. Let us count it all joy, for it is all a correction within our spirit. Your word. We thank you. We thank you for the salvation in which you have afforded us through your beloved Son, our King, Hamashiach. We ask and pray right now over the food and the nourishment in which we are about to receive here shortly. And we ask and pray for your lessons that are being brought forth in the Hebrew class, that we can better understand your word as it has been given from the Ancient of Times. All these things we thank you and bless your Kodesh name, Yahuah Sabaoth. We ask and pray these things of you, and let it be done according to your will, in the name of your beloved Son, our King and High Priest, Yehoshua HaMashiach. Amen. Selah.
Hallelujah.